Hey, Cub fans. Thanks for joining us here on Cubs 24/7, where Randy talks Cubs with delight and optimism. We're going to talk Kyle Hendricks today. And before we do that, I just want to talk about the Shota signing and the effect that it's had on sort of the Cubs fans' view on 2024. It's been amazing here in the last few days to sort of see and hear the energy that has taken over. Another thing we learned after the signing was that Shota had been in Chicago since Christmas, and Jed kept a tight lid on it. So I feel like there could be more to come. Just because we don't know of things, I'm sure there's a lot of discussion behind the scene, and the fact that Shota had been in Chicago since Christmas tells us that we don't hear rumors because they're not allowing any. But I'm pretty sure there's a few more moves yet to be made here very soon. So the Shota signing really shook up the potential Cubs rotation, and obviously in a good way. It made us deeper. I mean, really deeper. There's maybe a few less questions. There's still some questions about the Cubs rotation, but it's definitely a big step forward and an infusion that I think we all needed. So with that being said, I want to spend some time celebrating Kyle Hendricks, last remaining Cub from the 2016 World Series team. Historically, a very important Cub, and still is. It's going to be interesting to see how Kyle, how he performs in 2024. He'll be 34 years old this season. He is 34 now, but it'll be his 34-year-old season, and I think he's got a lot left in the tank. We'll find out. But let's kick back. Let's talk Cubs. Let's refamiliarize ourselves with Kyle Christian Hendricks, born December 7th, 1989, 6'3", 190. Played high school ball in Mission Viejo, California at Capistrano Valley High School. Was drafted by the Angels in the 39th round after high school in 2008, but he didn't sign. Instead, he goes to Dartmouth, gets a degree in economics, pitches for the head coach Bob Whalen there, and in 2010, summer 2010, he pitched in the Cape Cod League. So, Kyle's amateur career was a little bit under the radar. We didn't hear much of him. He was drafted by the Rangers in the 8th round in 2011. Started his pro career with Spokane Indians of the Class A short season league. But it wasn't long after that, Cubs got Kyle in the 2012 deal at the deadline for Ryan Dempster. At that time, Ryan Dempster was a veteran pitcher. Cubs were in the rebuild mode, and the Rangers needed some help. So Cubs traded Ryan Dempster and got little-known Kyle Hendricks, 2012. 2013, Kyle started with the Tennessee team and promoted to Iowa pretty soon after that. During that season of 2013 with Tennessee and with the Iowa Cubs, he did well. He was actually the pitcher of the year in 2013 for the Cubs, minor league pitcher of the year. So that trade, when it happened, we weren't really sure what we were getting with Kyle Hendricks, and then his very first year, he was the Cubs minor league pitcher of the year. In 2014, after the Cubs traded Jeff Samardzija and Jason Hamill, that sort of made room for Kyle. He made his debut that year on July 10th against the Reds at Great American Ballpark. Got his first win of his career at Wrigley a couple weeks later on July 22nd. In that season, he was the Rookie of the Month in August, and he went 7-2 with a 2.46 ERA. So that's Kyle Hendricks' rookie year. Did really well. 2015, started the season in the rotation, broke camp in the rotation. He had a good year, went 8-7 through 180 innings. His ERA was just under 4 at 3.95. He led the National League in no decisions that year. He had 17. He started Game 2 of the National League Division Series against St. Louis, and started Game 3 of the NLCS against the Mets in 2015. 2016, he was integral. That he's 26 years old, just starting into his prime. Really had enough background that he kind of fine-tuned his repertoire. So 2016 was a good year. He was the pitcher of the month for August. He went 16-8 with 190 innings. His ERA was the best in all of major leagues. He led the entire major leagues in ERA in 2016 with a 2.13. He was the first Cub to lead the league in ERA since 1945. I thought that was really kind of interesting, but yeah. And he's the first to lead the MLB, first Cub to lead MLB in ERA since 1938. So Kyle's 2016 season, that 2.13 ERA was historic. During that season, he also led all major league pitchers in first strike percentage at 68.6. So Kyle, here comes a strike. 68.6% first pitch. That stat, that's something that I've always looked for in Kyle. If you'll notice, like last year when he had some struggles, you can trace it back to first pitch strikes. So put a little asterisk in your mind by Kyle Hendricks when we watch him pitch this year. Is he first pitch strike? And if he is, he's really good. In Game 6 of the NLCS, he pitched 7 1/3 facing the minimum, and that he got the win. That sent the Cubs to the first World Series since '45. Kyle started Games 3 and 7 in the World Series. So 2016, Kyle is huge. We all think of Lester, and rightly so, but boy, Kyle Hendricks just under the radar, just gets people out. Not flashy. His repertoire, his pitching style does that. But 2016, Kyle Hendricks was the man. 26-year-old Kyle Hendricks. In 2017, he had another good year. Went 7-5 with a 3.03 ERA. But he only threw 139 innings. He had an injury, middle finger tendon problem. So it limited him in 2017. But he did pitch games 1 and 5 of the National League Division Series, pitched game 3 of the NLCS. Across those 3 games, he went 1-1, just under 4 ERA at 3.94 in 17 innings. So another decent showing postseason play for Kyle. In 2018, he went 14-11 with a 3.44 ERA. And he was the losing pitcher in that one-game National League wildcard game against the Rockies. I said that, and I remember that. That was disappointing. 2019, he signed a contract extension for 4 years. That's the contract that just ran out in 2023. And in 2019, he picked up his first Maddox. And for those of you who don't know, I know many of you do, but a Maddox is a statistical term that was invented in 2012 by a sports writer named Jason Lukehart, who's a big Greg Maddox fan. So a Maddox, by definition, is a complete game win, a complete game shutout of 9 innings or more, complete game shutout with under 100 pitches total. So that's a Maddox. And it's pretty well widely known. Kyle knew that when he threw it. So he talked about it after the game that he knew that he wanted a Maddox. So, yeah, give some credit to Jason Lukehart for inventing that stat in 2012, the Maddox. You don't see very many of them. Kyle finished 2019 with an 11-10 record with a 3.46 ERA through 177 innings and had his lowest career low based on balls per 9. Command is Kyle's ticket. First pitch strike, low walk rate, command of all these pitches. When Kyle doesn't command, he doesn't have the 98 plus mile an hour high cheese to get away with missing spots. So when Kyle is good, it's command. He's putting the ball where he wants it. In the shortened season of 2020, Kyle went 6-5, had a sub-3 ERA of 2.88. And again, led the National League in walks per 9 at 0.8. That's another thing to look for when we watch Kyle and we see what he's doing. First pitch strike, walk rate. Is he hitting his spots? Is he commanding all of his pitches? Very finesse. I like it, but to me, because it's the way it is, any loss of command, and it goes south on Kyle pretty quickly. In 2022, Kyle had 16 starts before his injury. He got hurt, and July 5th was his last start in 2022. But in the 16 before he got hurt, he went 4-6. ERA was up 4.8, and I'm just questioning if he, during that season, if he didn't pitch hurt, and cause himself some problems. So we'll see. I want to talk about Kyle's sort of his career, and then we're going to go into his 2023 numbers. And I did these splits too, and there's some interesting splits for Kyle. And then I'm going to give you a sort of a prediction. I don't really do predictions. I've never been a prediction guy. So this isn't a prediction. It's going to be more of what we want to see. What would it be for a good year for Kyle? I came up with some numbers. So in Kyle's career, he did really well to this point. He has a 23.0 career WAR. He won the ERA title in 2016 with that 2.13. His bases on ball per nine, walks per nine, have been really good. He had a career low of 0.8 in 2020. His walks or his strikeouts per walk ratio led the league in 2020. He has a 1,000 fielding percentage. He didn't make an error in 2015, 2016, 2020, and 21. He's just very calm. He doesn't panic. The professor. Postseason numbers are good too. Kyle pitched in 12 postseason games, has a 3.12 ERA and a 1.197 WHIP in 57 2/3 innings. You look at his Hall of Fame, no, and comparing to Maddox, a lot of guys do. So I did that today. Well, I didn't really. I started to. And I was like, what am I doing? Greg Maddox. It's not even fair. It's not fair to Kyle. I mean, his style is Maddox-like, but you pull up Greg Maddox's numbers, and who compares to that? So I looked at him for about 5 seconds and flipped the page. No, not going to do it. Let's do 2023 for Kyle. Here's what happened. He went 6-8 with a 3.74 ERA. Had 24 starts, 137 innings. Walked 27, had 93 strikeouts. His WHIP was 1.2. His hits per nine was at 9.1. Home runs per nine, below 1 at 0.9. His walks per nine, a little up for what Kyle does, 1.8. That's a little up. And his strikeouts per nine, a little down at 6.1. So, 3.74, 137 innings, 6-8. That we need more, right? We need more than that. But that's where we are. So let's try to find out where is it? Where what are we missing? And in 2023, his WAR was still positive. He had a 1.5 WAR. So some of his advanced numbers, I ran some advanced numbers, and I found that Kyle is still above league average in most of these. So here are the advanced numbers that Kyle's numbers for 2023 are above or better than league average. His on-base percentage at 2.93, better. His slug given up at 3.93 is better. His OPS 686 is better. His home runs percentage is 2.3. It's better. His walks percentage better at 4.7. The exit velocity that he gives up 84.6, better than average. The percent of hard hit balls 31.5, better than average. So he's still better than average in all the micro metrics. The two that he's higher and not as good as league average is he gave up a 255 batting average. That's higher than league. And his strikeout percentage is lower at 16.1 than the league. So, his numbers still look good. He looks he's better than average, but the 6 and 8, we need to do better than that. So we got to find out kind of where things are improvement wise. So let's look at some splits. Right-hand batters and lefties. It's going to surprise you. Let's do lefties. Kyle has numbers against lefties. Lefties hit 225 with a 264 on base and just a 350 slug for a 614 OPS. Righties hit him better. Righties averaged 286 with a 324 on base, a 439 slug, and an OPS of 763. So Kyle Hendricks is tougher on lefties. He was also better on the road in 2023. His home numbers at Wrigley, batting average against 279, 312 on base with a 441 slug, 753 OPS. On the road, batters hit 226 with a 271 and a 337 slug for 609 OPS. So, I don't know. I looked at it and I thought, well, that doesn't, add up to what you think you're going to get. You'd think, well, he's a righty. Kyle gets righties out. No, he gets lefties out better. Well, he's better at home. No, he's better on the road. I did first half, second half. Kyle was better in the second half. His first half, he gave up a batting average against a 223 and 265 with a 327 slug, 592 OPS. Second half, it dropped. 274, 309, and a 432. So a better first half. Kyle faded toward the end. He was really good in June. In June of last year, his batting average against was 162. On base percentage is 197 and a slug of 282. It was just a phenomenal June. But in September, toward the end, batting average up almost to 3. Gave up almost a 300 batting average with 333 on base, 464 slug. I don't know. I guess my point is what can we expect? I mean, if he's Kyle, if he's good, he's really good. But there's some concerns that I look at that's like, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get. Here's another interesting split. Miguel caught him quite a bit. Amaya caught Kyle quite a bit, and so did Jan. Well, how much? They literally split the duty with Kyle 50-50. Both catchers caught Kyle Hendricks 60 and a third innings. Jan did it over 11 games. Miguel did it over 10 games. But Miguel had a little more success with Kyle. Batting average against with Miguel catching was 220. His on base was 346. Slug was 345. Had an ERA of 3.13 throwing to Miguel. Throwing to Jan, hitters hit 267 with a 325 on base, 371 slug with an ERA of just under 4 at 3.88. I don't know. What can we expect? 34 years old, so he's still got time. Finesse pitcher. If he's not healthy, I think that's what we get. The split second that Kyle Hendricks has an injury and he's off just because it's so fine. It's such a fine pitching approach. I can imagine that if he's uncomfortable in any way and it moves it and it gets off, I think that's where we have trouble. So I'm going to suggest that Kyle's production is going to be completely connected to his health. If he's 100% healthy, Kyle's going to be good. If there's something nagging him, if there's something wrong, I think it goes south on him pretty quick. So 34 years old, I think that's the worry we have with Kyle, in my mind, is if he's healthy, we're good. But if he's not, he just doesn't have the margin for error built into his game to deal with injuries. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like to me. Let's talk about 2024. What's a good year for Kyle? What do we need from him? What would we like? Well, just being honest, looking at where we are, I'd like 12 wins. If I get 12 wins out of Kyle, okay. I'd like his ERA to be anywhere under 4. I'd like him to throw a few innings. We're not going to get 240 innings from Kyle. We might not get 175. Maybe we get 150 innings from Kyle. Okay. 12 wins, under 4 ERA, 150 innings. Whip, 1.2-ish. Base on balls per 9, maybe 2.0, maybe 7.0 strikeouts per 9. Somewhere in there. I think it's not unrealistic. I think if he's moderately healthy, I think that's what we could probably expect. If he's really healthy and does great, well, okay. But if he's not, I think we'll see those numbers drop. So I'm going to keep my eye on not only just ERA, but his walks per 9, his first pitch strikeout rate, and just kind of where's his command, right? If his command is good, he's on a 1-year contract now. This is a 1 year, so he's free agent at the end of the season again, making $16.5 million in 2024. So he's in the rotation. He's going to pitch. We like him when he's right, and we all hope he's right in 2024. And if he is, that'll be most useful to get a healthy, productive Kyle Hendricks. And we root for him. Kyle's just a great guy. He's a great teammate. Calming effect. We just root for him. He's a Cub. He was with us when we won the World Series. He was huge on that team. And I think as Cub fans, we all want to see Hendo do well in 2024, and we all hope he does. So that's the update where we stand with Kyle, and we'll be back with more very soon. In the meantime, Cub fans, go Cubs go.